You just finished work. Maybe you closed your laptop after 8 hours of Zoom calls, or maybe you just walked through your front door after a grueling double shift in retail. Your feet are throbbing and your brain completely fried. You're home now. Your goals are clear. The laptop is right there. You promised yourself today would be the day you finally made progress. But you're on the couch and you're scrolling again. You feel that specific heavy guilt. You're disciplined at work. You execute for them. But for your own dreams, you freeze. That's not laziness. It's a systems engineering failure. Today, we fix the machine. I'm giving you the 5-step momentum loop. The exact protocol to force action when willpower is dead. Step 1 starts right now. Step 1, the low flow rule. It's the physics of starting. The reason you're stuck is that your entry requirements are too high. When you think about working on your business, your brain visualizes a 4-hour deep work session. It sees a mountain and says, no, we are tired. Stay on the couch. Think of a car in the dead winter. If you turn the key and immediately redline the engine to 7,000 RPM, the engine stalls. It might even break. You have to let it idle. You have to let the oil circulate. In physics, there is a massive difference between static friction and kinetic friction. Static friction is the energy required to move an object that is standing still. It is enormous. Kinetic friction is the energy required to keep the same object moving once it's already rolling. It is tiny. Your problem isn't the work. Your problem is the static friction of the first 60 seconds. High-achieving procrastinators like you and I are often suffering from front-loading stress. You try to solve the whole problem before you even open the laptop. You are trying to overcome this static friction with a brain that has zero fuel left. Therefore, stop trying to work. Your only job tonight is to idle. We need to lower the floor so much that it feels stupid not to do it. We are bypassing the amygdala, the part of your brain that triggers the fight or flight response when a task feels too big. If the task is small enough, the amygdala stays asleep. So tonight's task is to pick your biggest goal and find the 2-minute version. If the goal is the gym, your only task is to put on your sneakers. If the goal is coding, your only task is to open IG and type one comment. If the goal is writing, your only task is to write one sentence, even a bad one. Once the sneakers are on, the static friction is gone. You are now in kinetic mode. If you want to stop after 2 minutes, you can, but 90% of the time, once the engine is idling, you'll find you're ready to drive. Step 2, the battery management filter. But even if you lower the floor and start moving, you will fail if you try to do the heavy stuff first when you're exhausted. This is where most productivity gurus fail you. They tell you, do the hardest thing first. That works at 8 a.m. It is a disaster at 5:30 p.m. Your brain is a smartphone. At 5:30 p.m. after a shift, you are at 5% battery. The phone will overheat, lag, and eventually crash. There is a psychological phenomenon called the Zeigarnik effect. It states that the human brain remembers uncompleted or interrupted tasks better than completed ones. This creates a cognitive itch. All those unfinished business ideas are like open tabs in your brain browser. They are draining your background battery while you are at work. When you get home, you don't have enough RAM left to think creatively. When I worked designing heating and ventilation systems, I spent 8 hours a day solving conditioning problems. My analytical brain was at 0%. By the time I got home, I would sit down to write a script, a creative task, and I would stare at the screen for 4 hours. I thought I was a failure. I thought I didn't have it. Then I realized I was trying to run a creative program on a dead brain. So the fix is you need a low battery task list at 5% energy. You don't need to do the big thinking. You do the admin. You organize the folder, you research one link. You do the maintenance work that makes tomorrow's deep work easier. You aren't building the house. You're just laying the tools out so the builder can start immediately in the morning. So tonight's task is to stop deciding what to do. Look at your list, pick the smallest, lowest energy task, the 5% battery task, and do it now. Shut down one open tab in your brain. Step 3, the 70% shift threshold, killing the perfectionist. The first step in the loop is the most painful for the high achievers. You have to kill your perfectionism. But once you start moving, a new enemy appears. You start working, but you get obsessed with the details. You spend 3 hours picking a font for a website that has no traffic. You spend 4 days editing the first 30 seconds of a video you haven't even finished filming. Perfectionism is waiting for every single traffic light in the city to turn green before you leave your driveway. If you wait for total readiness, you will die in your driveway. Research shows that perfectionism is strongly linked to procrastination. Why? Because if the standard is perfect, the perceived risk of failure is 100%. Your brain protects you from the risk by making you scroll TikTok instead. Perfectionism isn't a high standard. It's a shield. It's a way to avoid being judged. If it's never finished, nobody can tell you it's bad. You are using quality as an excuse for immobility. You think you are being craftsman, but you're actually just being a coward. I know that's harsh, and I tell myself the same thing. I only say this because I want us to improve. I know it's because I did this for 2 years. I had 47 browser tabs open on the best camera for YouTube, but I didn't own a camera. I want to see where you are stuck. Drop a comment right below, right now. Which of these is your bottleneck? Is it the step 1, the static friction, the starting point, or is it step 3, perfectionism and finishing? I'm building a specific template for whichever one wins. So tonight's task, identify one thing you've been polishing tonight you're going to ship at 70%. That email you've been drafting, send it. That thumbnail you've been tweaking, upload it. The code you've been refactoring, commit it. A messy done beats a perfect none every single time. Volume precedes quality. You don't get to be good until you've been prolific. Step 4. The decision gavel. You are stuck because you're constantly debating yourself. Should I do this or this? And what if I chose the wrong niche? And what if I use the wrong software? But shipping at 70% requires a choice. And high achievers like you and I love to debate themselves into paralysis. Stop being a debate team. Start being a judge. A debate team argues forever. They look at every side. They never reach a conclusion. A judge listens for a moment, looks at the evidence, and then bam, the gavel hits. The case is closed. The court moves to the next file. This is called decision fatigue. Every minor choice you make, from what to eat for lunch, to what font to use, to what font to use, feeds your willpower muscle. By the time you get home, your decision muscle is torn. You literally cannot choose. This is why you end up staring at Netflix home screen for 45 minutes instead of actually watching a movie. Therefore, you need the 30-second gavel. If a choice won't matter in 1 year, you have exactly 30 seconds to decide which tool to use, 30 seconds to decide which topic to write about, 30 seconds to decide which workout to do, 30 seconds to decide. The goal isn't to make the right decision. The goal is to make a decision. In the momentum loop, a wrong decision that leads to action is 10 times more valuable than a right decision that stays in your head. So tonight's task is use the gavel. The very next time you catch yourself overthinking a minor detail, give yourself 5 seconds. Countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at 0, the first instinct wins. Gavel down, case closed. Step 5. The lane change. Identity shift. Everything we just talked about, the friction, the batteries, the gavel, it all fails you if you still tell yourself the same old story. I am just a procrastinator. I am just someone who works a dead-end job and has big dreams he'll never reach. But your identity is not a tattoo, it's a lane choice. Imagine you're driving in a slow lane. You see the fast lane moving. You don't need a life-changing epiphany to get into the fast lane. You don't need to go to a seminar. You don't need to change your engine. You check the mirror, you signal, and then you move the wheels. Fast lane, slow lane. You are now a fast lane driver. In James Clear Atomic Habits, he explains that every small action is a vote for the person you want to become. You don't need a landslide victory. You don't need 100% of the votes. You just need 51%. If you put on your sneakers tonight, you just cast a vote for the athlete. If you open the laptop, you cast a vote for the entrepreneur. If you ship at 70% project, you cast a vote for the creator. You don't need to believe in yourself. You just need to win the election one vote at a time. Tonight's task is to stop saying I'll try and say I am someone who moves even when I'm tired. Then do the 5-minute tasks to prove it to yourself. Let's log this in. If you feel stuck tonight, run the loop. Lower the floor. The static friction is the enemy. Just idle for 2 minutes. Filter the battery. Manage energy, not time. Do the admin when you're at 5%. Ship at 70%. Perfectionism is a shield. Messy done beats perfect none. The gavel. Stop the internal debate. 30 seconds, then decide. The lane change. One action, one vote, win by 51%. I'm not telling you this because I read it in a book. I'm telling you this because I've lived it. I've stood in a retail store for 8 hours until I felt like they were on fire. I've dealt with angry customers. I know exactly what it feels like to sit in your car in the driveway for 20 minutes because you don't have the energy to walk into your own house. I felt the shame of being the smart guy who is still working an entry-level job at 27. I know what it's like to have a degree on the wall and a name tag on your chest. I'm not special. I didn't find a secret motivation. I just stopped trusting my feelings are unreliable. Feelings change with the weather and your blood sugar. I started trusting the protocol. The momentum loop doesn't care if you're tired. It only cares that you follow the steps. I built a system starter kit specifically for this. It has the 70/30 checklist and several other activities that will help you out. It's the exact internal dashboard I use to manage my brain. It's free, it's in the link in the description below. But there's one specific danger we haven't talked about. If you have a 7 to 3 schedule, your momentum usually dies before you even get home. It dies during your lunch break. It dies when your manager asks for one more thing at 2:55 p.m. If you don't protect your internal battery while you're on the clock, the momentum loop will fail because you have 0% charge left to even start step 1. Therefore, you need a strategy for the shift itself. If you want to see the pre-game strategy, how I protect my energy while dealing with customers and managers for 8 hours straight, so I have something left for the side hustle, watch this video on the 7 to 3 survival system right here. I'll show you how to build momentum while you're still on the clock. See you there.